Hey guys, it is the Monday night family show. Hey, I'm Ryan, and there's LMR. I want to say this show always works best when you participate, so the participation is key. Let me get the right title up here instead of the wrong title up. There we go, and we got Ricky with us this evening. Good evening, Mr. Ricky Seven.
Good evening. Good evening. How's it going there? How's the weather?
Well, the weather today was all right. Real damp. It says it's like -2 or something here, but just super damp. Kind of just not good. Like blah. And the clouds here are so low. It's like you're in the water. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just not really the best. Good evening to Michael Peevler. He's first on. Tracy, I hope you're feeling better. I haven't had a chance to message you. I'm sorry, my dear, but I hope you're feeling good. Mike Green says hi, hi, hi. And Nelson Pigeon Loft says, good evening, fellas. Good evening to you. Zach, hello as well. Well, we're back on another Monday. And what can I say? It's Monday. You know, Ricky, it's the beginning of the week.
Mondays roll around pretty quick.
Yeah, they do.
Monday, Monday.
Monday. You know,
Yeah.
I often think um I often think about what pigeon men say. The nonsense and the bullshit and the fear and the excuses that they make. And to me it's an amazing thing. They're making an excuse of why they lose pigeons. They'll tell you how expensive their pigeons are, and then they lose their pigeons and they make an excuse. They're trying to find an excuse. And I don't understand, why is there always has to be an excuse? Can there not just be today the pigeon gods weren't on my side. The birds made a wrong turn, the birds screwed up. I mean, if you think about it, when you let the birds out from the loft training, road training, racing, once the basket's open or the loft door's open, it's up to the pigeons to decide what's going to really happen. If a hawk goes through them, if a cyclone picks them up, if a snowstorm blows them away. So at some point, you got to say it's on the pigeons, do you not? Or am I wrong with this?
Excuse me. I say every time you let your pigeon out for a fly or release him from the basket, once he's out, he's not your pigeon. He decides what how he's going to do it. When he lands and gets comes back in the loft, now he's back. He's your pigeon. There isn't a guarantee. And a lot of guys, they buy pigeons and they spend a lot of money on them. And a lot of times the flyer makes mistakes as well. And then he blames the pigeon,
Well,
not himself.
he blames other reasons instead of accepting what it is. You know, it sometimes it is what it is. I don't think people ever go out to purposely lose their pigeons, but what can you do? You know,
Yeah.
if you let the pigeons out and it's a foggy day, are you a bad guy for doing that? Let them out around the loft. It's fog. It's thick fog. Are you? Is it bad? It's not a bad thing. And I ask this to the people, or the wind. It's too windy today. Or it looks like it's going to pour rain. Or it is raining. Um you know, all I have to say is in their course of racing, they could have come across these obstacles, correct? Correct. And under what are you supposed to do? Do you educate them and take a gamble, or do you keep them in a glass house and put them up in sunshine and rainbows with no wind, no problems, no nothing, and have what I call a bunch of candy ass pigeons? So when the shit does hit the fan, when something gets a little bit not perfect, as the world shows it's not perfect, then a disaster then happens. And then you say, well, did you educate them on life?
I would say again, like I mentioned a few moments ago, a lot of these problems has to do with the loft manager. In other words, he don't let him out in the fog, he don't rain, blah blah blah. A barn plug, he goes out every day to that field. If it's raining, wind blowing, sunny, whatever day it is, he's going out to that field to get his feed. And if he doesn't go to that field, he's going to be real hungry. So he has to educate himself to get up in the morning, no matter what, and fly to that field. And I've seen them around here. They're sitting on top of the barn or they're sitting on hydro wires. I see hundreds of them sitting on a hydro wire. It's pouring rain or it's snowing out or it's foggy out. They're sitting on that hydro wire above the cornfield that was what do you call it, cultivated in October, November, but they're waiting to go down into the mud to dig for rotten old corn, or in the winter they're waiting to go down into about a foot of snow to try and dig in to get some feed, and they feed up and then they go back to the barn or they go back to the town and sit on the window ledge. So but what we do is we build this loft, pigeon loft, which is actually the man's loft, the human's loft, but he keeps a bunch of pigeons in it, and you just greenhouse tomato them. And I think that's what happens. If you educate that bird every day to go out, he'll be a lot, he'll have what they call road sense or road smarts,
Mm. Street smarts, I think.
street smarts.
Okay, and I'm looking at some of the comments here from people, and Jeff Henderson says, "Good evening, warm down under." Pigeon flyers always blame someone besides themselves. It's all starts in the breeding loft. Okay. Jeff Henderson says pigeons have to get used to all their weather conditions. Train them hard. You have to educate your birds for all conditions. Race days are not all perfect. David Tracy says, good evening. Antonio Rodriguez says, got a question for Ricky. Why do you want to have super racers? You get one super pigeon in a lifetime. So I don't get this question. Got a question for Ricky. Why do you want to have a super racer? You get one super pigeon in a lifetime.
I'll answer that question. So that means if you get one super one, then you stop flying. You
I
say,
don't.
I already got it. Or it's hard to get a super one. And I believe we want to keep trying to cultivate super ones.
Oh
That's
no, super
part of
super.
the hobby.
No, no, no. Here, sorry, I read the question wrong. I'm sorry. My. You know how I read it backwards. I think the question is. I got a question for Ricky. Why do you want to have super races? You get super pigeons, one in a lifetime. I don't get the question.
Oh, super races.
Super races.
Uh,
Why do you, well, what's this? What is a super race?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a tricky question, Antonio. You got to re-ask it. I'm not getting it. I left my birds out before in perfect clear conditions, half home out of 50. Sauce. The fog was set in. I was picking them up all the way home. The birds still beat me home. Okay, there you go.
So he
Uh,
trained in fog.
yeah, my birds have been. What is he right here? I left my birds out before in perfect clear conditions. Half home out of 50. Then
Right.
I think he says he trained him in the fog and set in. The fog had set in. I was puckering. I guess puckering the whole way home. He was scared the whole way home, and the birds still beat him home. Well, yeah, probably birds flew over the fog.
I've
Randy's.
trained them in heavy fog as well. I've taken them, liberated them. They went out of the basket within 2 seconds. You couldn't see where they were. It was heavy, heavy fog, and they come through it. They come through it no problem. I've done it many times. Come through it no problem. No, I know a fella years ago. He had to be at work for 6 o'clock in the morning. He would, and this guy flew a super year that year. He would take his birds about 35 miles from his loft every single morning, and he had to liberate them in the dark. There's a plaza, and the birds. He told me the birds would come out of the basket, and they'd go right up onto the roof of this store. He'd seen them go up and land on the roof. And then he took off because he had to get to work for 6 o'clock. So he liberated them at 5:15 in the morning. And like, if you can imagine, he had a super year. He says his pigeons learned to fly up on the roof. Soon daylight came, zoom, they went home. Now, who would ever dream of doing that with your pigeons? But he did it. He said, gosh, I drove up here. I got to get back to my job. And the pigeons got accustomed to that.
Yeah, I mean, uh, you know, and I think what you just said, and then this is a question here, and I'm going to kind of jump questions. But Alan said, I started flying pigeons 50 years ago. I knew nothing about them, but my losses were very few. Now, the knowledge, he's more knowledgeable, and yet my losses are much higher.
Do you want to
Well,
know? You want to know what I'm going to say?
go ahead. I know what you're going to say, but I'll let you say it.
A person, a lot of people that start off, they're fresh, they're starting. They do so many moves that people that are more knowledgeable wouldn't do those moves, and they probably should do them. You know, they're always thinking, "Oh, I can't let him go in the drizzle." Meanwhile, when you first start off, say, "Yep, take him in the drizzle." I remember when I was a little kid, uh, 9 years old. I had race birds, and I can remember youngsters. My grandfather would come up and visit us. Uh, oh gosh, every other night he'd always have something to do here, help my mother do make cabinets, whatever they were doing. And I would say to him, 8:30 at night, summertime, "Oh, can you take my pigeons home with you? And soon you get home, just let them out." And in summertime, he let them out at 5 to 9. And I thought, that's the way it should be. The darn pigeons would come home. I'd do all these funny, stupid, be like stupid mistakes, I guess you might say, but the pigeons did it. Um, I know Jim Groves at one time, he was a beginner flyer, and oh, he said, I took the birds at 115 miles up. Uh, And he said, I got there and he said it was just thunderstorms and pouring rain. And oh man, it was. I said, well, what'd you do? Did you bring him back? He said, oh, no, no. He said, I let him go. He said, you think I'm going to drive that far and then turn around and bring him back? I let him go. I said, well, Jim, boy, you're taking it. Oh, he said, they get soaked and they'll go and sit in the field till they dry off and they can come home. So once we start to fly 50 years later, we start to get, I don't know what you'd call it, soft, or we get, we think too much. And then I think we actually hurt the birds because we candy ass them too much.
Yeah, we got some questions here, and I'll get to some of these. Ralph B says, "How do you rest pigeons as the races progress up to 600 miles?" Well, if you watch the International Barcelona guy before the 600-mile races, he doesn't play those birds for about 3 weeks. Going to a 600-mile race, that would be kind of like an international. But I think they got to have minimum at least 2 weeks off before a 600-mile race. And 2 weeks before that, I don't think you want to cook them at 450 or 500 miles. I think the max you want to have them is about 6 hours on the wing for that, just to open them up a bit. Uh, but I would, if you watch some of the videos with the international there with the Milovic, he gives a lot of good tips for resting the pigeons and what he does. Again, let's see. What is the question? Why do you guys want to make the races so hard? 99% of the pigeons Basie's Day are average at best. Well, sure they are. So do we want Antonio to make it bullshit and easy? I mean, is that gonna make anybody get better? I mean, I guess you shouldn't really care about making people's pigeons better. I guess you should just do what everyone wants and just play for average pigeons, and then everyone has average pigeons. I don't think that's the way to look at it. I like to have good, tough races. I like to have a good, strong headwind. I like to have a good crosswind. I like to have a good east wind. And I like to have a real good tailwind. I like to see races that you get a little variety. Sure, I don't want every week to be a headwind, and I don't want every week to be a tailwind, but I think you need a variety to judge the pigeons on how it is totally. Now, Mike Vandriak says, I've had several super racers in my lifetime, but less super breeders. Well, you know, Mike then says, none of my super racers became super breeders. And I talked to a guy like Florian Hendricks. I was there today. What a smart man. They're flying against, 20,000, 30,000 pigeons, right? And he says, have you ever thought people say that's a super pigeon? But what's a super pigeon for you and your combine? It ain't going to cut it in another one. More flyers, bigger competition, more birds. You know what I'm saying? So if you fly, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to say if you fly in the Up North Combine, the Niagara Combine, the EOC Combine, the Chicago Combine, and the New Jersey Combine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Spring Hill Combine. Well, the Spring Hill one's probably going to have the best pigeons because it's the most competition, I think. But if you think about it, those pigeons, what are they what are they competing against? What is there? And I'm not knocking this, but you only have so much competition. You're not even it's not the same. So you can't say a super pigeon out of Canada is even going to come on the ground of Belgium or Holland or England and touch the ground with them. I don't think they will. I think they'll get obliterated because they're only flying against a small number. So Mike to say, I've had super racers, but none of them turned out to be super breeders. I don't think, and I hate to say this, and this isn't your fault, but I don't know if they've played against enough damn good pigeons. You know what I mean?
So what's Mike saying is the super racer did not turn out to be a super breeder. Is that correct?
Yeah, now, I mean, I was at Florian Hendricks today. It's a small loft in the Netherlands. I think it's a small loft. He brought me out 8 breeders, right? They were 12s. They had great race records. And they're super breeders. You know, now that's one guy, but I've seen a lot of
If I,
guys that have super racers that have become super breeders. Now, hey, not every super racer is going to be it, but
what I was going to say is the super racer was bred out of a pair that bred a super racer. Okay. Now, what was the makeup of that pair that he put together? Was it, outcrossed,
well,
inbred to an inbred? Was it
no,
okay? So
you know, like,
now you've taken now this outcross and it produced a super breeder or super racer. Well, now you've got to watch where you take that pigeon and who you put it to. If you put it to just, you know, a pigeon that's not bred right, you're just going to turn out to basically what comes out of it. Might as well say it's a fantail.
well,
You
as
know,
you know, as Milovic said, when I buy a pigeon, it has to be a direct child off of a national winner, a national ace pigeon, a top pigeon. If I buy any grandchild, 3 out of the 4 grandparents have to be national champions. 3 out of the 4 grandparents. That's if he's buying a grandchild. And he says when you do that, you instantly get closer to producing better pigeons. The farther you go away, the worse it gets. Antonio Rodriguez says, "How many super pigeons do you recall having?" Um, you know what? In Canada, I don't know if you ever can say you've had super pigeons. I had some real damn good pigeons. I've got at least, probably off my head, I can think of 15. Probably I can name 15 of them. I think in 2009, the whole race team, the whole Youngbird race team, we put so many in the champion birds in the short program, ace pigeons, it was unbelievable. And that was one year. And I mean, we had different years with really damn good pigeons. Now, is it super? Super to what?
just let me say something here. It depends on the management of these pigeons as well.
Yeah.
If management is off, then you won't find as many super pigeons. You may raise 40 youngsters and get one. Maybe you'll get one that you say that's a super
Hey,
pigeon one.
hey,
But
hey.
but what I'm saying is maybe your management wasn't right. So you got like the way I look at it is if you see somebody flying pigeons and it's their first year in flying pigeons and their his name is Mr. X and holy jumping he comes out he wins the first race with this pigeon. The rest of his pigeons aren't even on the sheet. He's 20 minutes, half an hour behind, an hour behind. Next week, bang, that pigeon wins it again. He skips a week with that pigeon, and it's not there the next week. Boom, it's right in there. It's in the top 5 again. It's got gets champion points in the, let's say young birds or yeah young birds, and that is maintained or the loft manager he's a beginner, he doesn't know what in the hell he's doing, he just shoves the pigeon in and the damn thing wins. Well, that kind of pigeon you'd almost want to go to him and say, hey, I'll buy that thing off you because you real.
Oh, Ricky's line there cut out. So something happened. There he is.
Yeah, I'm just saying, the guy's got very poor management. It's a first time in. He doesn't, it's like
Those are
he's
just
learning. He's learning.
those are just lucky birds. You never
Those are
issued
lucky. Those
fun.
are one-time wonders.
All right,
But
let me.
a guy that thinks he knows something and he's lacking, he doesn't realize he's
Okay,
lacking, and he could have had pigeons 30 years, and then he says, "Well, I only got one super pigeon." He could have probably had a lot more if he would have really known what he was doing.
Right. Okay. Let me read some of the comments. I free fly my birds all winter long. Okay, Mike. Thank you. Donnie Lee says, training pigeons to lose the bad. Not every pigeon are smart. Okay, I agree. I fly my pigeons every day, whether if it's not part of the breeding program. They fly all year long, every day. Okay, good. Four C's Lofts. I don't see it as making the races hard. I see it as making it challenging for pigeons. Well, I think challenging is good. Mike's going to say, can a hockey team from Canada ever beat a team from a much bigger USA? Can a hockey team from Canada ever beat a team from the much bigger USA?
So I
I
think
don't, I
he's
don't,
saying I think
yeah.
he's saying the US has more players to choose from. Um, he's saying the
Yeah,
USA's got better hockey teams.
In America, they produce much more basketball players than they do in Canada. I don't know. Yeah, we're talking about pigeons here, and I don't. If you're Mike, if you're, I don't know if you're thinking that Canada and the United States has the same qualities. It's not there yet. It can't be there. It's not there. It's not. And I don't think it ever can be because it's not concentrated with pigeon flyers like it is here in Europe. That's it, but we look at hockey, Mike. Okay, take a look. Canada's good, right? Yeah, but the world caught up to Canada. Look at Sweden. Look at Czech. Look at Russia. Look at Finland. Look at them because if you actually look at it, in those countries, soccer is the big sport. All they had to do was convert soccer into hockey, and you see it now happening. Better, I think, a little bit better of an athlete for that. But hey, we're not getting into that sports thing, Mike. I'm not really sure. Emil Denny says most of the time it skips a generation. Yeah, yes, it can skip a generation, but I still think you got to buy direct children. The odds go up. The odds go up, and most of these guys, most of the top guys, when they buy something, they buy a direct child. You don't see very many buying grandchildren. Again, though, it's up to you what your price point is. Dave Crozier says he's back. Dave Crozier's back, guys. He's back. If I buy a good pair of breeders from Europe and breed several rounds off them, will I win every race against the North American competition? Well, it all depends on the type of pigeon man you are, Mike. You're asking me that question. I mean, do you go to work with them? Do you put the time in? If you don't, and someone else goes out there and outworks you, sure, they're going to beat you. I think they'll beat you.
I think to be a top-notch flyer, you need to put in roughly about 40 hours a week. That's what I think.
Yeah,
And a
probably
guy that
around the minimum.
38, 40 hours a week, that's what I think.
Yeah, it's got to
Right?
be a real damn good full part time, almost full time job. I think.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of cases, if I know what I'm doing and I don't have a job, I'm retired probably, or I don't need to go to work, and I'm flying pigeons, and you're a guy that's working 40 or 50 hours a week and keeping pigeons, you're going to have a tough time keeping up to me. You will have a tough time. It, but I have to know what I'm doing, right? You get me?
Okay, so Antonio says super pigeons are great races and great breeds, in my opinion.
I
Trying to
think
get
he's saying super racers are also good breeders, and I don't believe that.
Well, I think there's good and bad in them all. I do think that. I think you're going to get super racers that are super breeders. I think you got super racers that don't breed anything. But again, what's a super racer? You know, how many guys that only race young birds? You know, they only fly young birds, and they get all those birds didn't do good as young birds. They get rid of them. And meanwhile, as yearlings, they'd have been great, or 2-year-olds, it would have been great, but people just disregard and move on, right? People recycle quickly. Dave Crozier says, yes, Mike Vandriak. Oh, Mike's back with us. Hockey. Hockey ain't a big in the USA, only the states up by Canada. Well, okay.
Well, I don't
Most
know much of. Hey, listen, I don't know much about hockey at all, but I heard that a lot of players that are on the U.S. teams, a lot of them, a great majority of them, are Canadian guys. Am I right or wrong?
Well, some of the young kids now, their fathers were American or Canadian. They moved to America to play hockey, right? And for the NHL, they have their kids there, and then the kids become American. But whatever. Hold on. Mike Vandriak says most Canadian and U.S. stock loss contain European pigeons. Well, sure they do, of course, because the best pigeons come from Europe. But you're still not competing against. You still don't have the numbers. This is what I'm saying, Mike. Yes, most of the loss are from European pigeons. Let's see. Alan says when I started, I had less birds and didn't lose many. Now I have 3 times the amount, and my losses are higher. Sometimes you have too many in your loft, and maybe some people say it's cell phones. I don't know. I think sometimes people they overthink it. They stop playing fearless. They start overthinking. Oh, it's too warm today, eh? It's too hot. Can't let them out. Or it's too windy, or it's too this, or it's too that. And I think people get, I'm going to make it perfect for them. They're going to go out every perfect day. And then I don't think that works. But that's my
I
thought. I'm
I
not saying, Alan, you're doing that. I'm just trying to play the devil's advocate here.
I think sometimes if you have too many birds, you really can't watch as many birds, study as many birds. Maybe you can't. You're not really taking care of them as well as what you did when you had less, maybe 20 birds. It's like the old saying, you could have one dog and really take care of them, and you know what the dog's thinking all the time. You have two dogs and you're doing pretty good with two. Yeah, not bad. But if you had 10 dogs in the house, you couldn't really get concentrate like you did when you had one or two dogs. You know what I'm saying? So you overpopulate the situation, and your brain can't focus like you think you did when you had only 10 birds. Now you got 50 birds, and you can't concentrate right.
Lot 69 says, how much light should you give your breeders? Hey, you can give your breeders 13, 14, 15 hours of light. That's it. So that's all you need. You don't have to give them 18 hours or 24 hours. You just give them more than 12 hours. So say, hey, give them 14 hours light. That helps them just get them in the mood a little bit easier. Alan writes, I'm retired. I flew better when I was working. It's okay. You probably were a little, maybe not less trying, but you had more. Is it more pans in the fire? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
He flew better. Maybe he had better birds and he didn't know it.
Yeah, or
or
maybe you
or
change your ways a little bit. You do different grading. You do, yeah, you have different pigeons. Who
yeah,
knows, right?
yeah. It's I don't. I just don't believe in what Alan said there. If he flies against somebody that knows what they're doing, and they spend 40 hours a week on this, and this guy Alan's working, there's no way he's going to beat this guy that does a little more. He feeds a little bit differently. His system's a little bit right on. The guy that's working, and at that time in his life, probably was taking his kids to sports and stuff. There's no way you can concentrate on being a champ. Oh, maybe he thought he was, but there's no way. And now he says I don't know.
Yeah, hold on. Genetic Potential says St. Louis is a big hockey town. Now kids leagues are growing every year. Okay, well I can imagine that. Mike Green says I found brothers and sisters end up being better breeders than the super racer. Yes, that's true. That can be true as well. I think when you have a super racer and you have a brother or a sister, I think it's good to try that as well. I think you try them both out and away you go. But again, you have to think, what is a super racer? Is it a pigeon that's won one race? Or is it an ace pigeon in the combine? But how, what was the competition and how many races was it up at the top? You have to really ask yourself, what is super? And that's a hard thing to say, right? Well, I had a pigeon that won a combine race. First one was luck. The second one, hey, that's pretty good. The third one, now we got something going on, right? Think about it that way. Kristen Marshman says, do you think wind is the biggest factor in races? Yeah, wind's big. Wind's a big time factor. It has to be. The wind is a big, big factor because it blows them to the left or to the right. If it goes to the nose, the guys on the short end have it. If it goes to the tail, the guys on the long end have it. As Van Zorn says, less is more. Yes, less is more. Nelson Pigeonlaw says quality over quantity is more. I'll tell you, I feel sick as a dog tonight. I feel like I'm going to be sick, but I'm all right. If we keep filling our stock loss with European imports, we don't have to test them in big competition. The European breeders have already done that. I know, but once you take them into your lofts and you play with them for a few seasons, right? The pigeons, those babies, they do lose that in them. It's a natural. It's going to happen, Mike. It's like if you just breed pigeons, you breed pigeons like you breed a pair off of the Europeans. And they go, oh, they're perfect in the hands. Okay, let's keep them for stock. And then you breed out of them, and they breed two super pigeons, and you say, oh, I'm going to keep them for stock. Now you got two or three generations of no work. What do you have? Good looking, but you don't know what works. You
Well, the
have
other
to.
thing too is that pair of youngsters. Then what did you cross them out with the next year? If you kept them or if you flew them. If they flew every race and they did real well, so now you're going to breed out of that pair of youngsters to what? So there's an art to maintaining that strength in what you have. And those European birds that you bought out of champions, those people are artists to recreate that strength and not lose it, right? There's you gotta watch. Does whatever you buy, it's gold. Well, watch out. You better make sure you know how to maintain that strength of pigeon, right?
Well,
You
yeah,
understand me?
and you have to keep working them. That's the whole trick. And if you race them a season or you stop them halfway through a season or whatever you do, you're taking away. Antonio says losses due to electronic bans never uh, electronic bands need to go back to the old elastic bands. That would be fun. Uh, Pigeons thrive on routing. The hobby is better suited to a working person on a daily routine than a retired person on flexible routine. Maybe. I don't
I,
know.
I believe that is right as well, because when you get retired, you get a little laid back. You say, oh,
Mhm.
I won't go out until 10 o'clock because, meanwhile, when you're working, you had to be out there at that time. But the retired guy, if he gets up and has a routine and sticks with it, he's got a bonus, right?
Mm.
I believe it.
Dave Crozier asks a good question. Does Europe have more great pigeons or more great pigeon men? Boy, that's a good question. What do you think,
Um,
Ricky?
well, take Belgium, for example. I believe there's 14,000 flyers in Belgium. Okay. Uh, Out of 14,000 flyers, would you say there's 1,000 super flyers? 500 super flyers? So what I'm saying is there is a whole lot of garbage flyers in that country. So uh, I don't know if out of 14,000 flyers in Belgium, Ryan, you're there. How many super flyers would be out of 14,000?
Jeez, it'd be hard. You know what? It would be hard to say.
Like, for example,
I'm just talking here, like in where I am. Sorel Lambrecht, I think he's a damn good one. Is he super? I don't know. His son won a national. I can throw the ball to the train tracks. His other son lives over there, four soccer fields away. He's another one. But there's three guys there. I don't know what's the number, but I think there's better pigeon men. But there's so many pigeons that I think there's a lot of good pigeons here. Van Zorn says, "What do you think yourself?" I don't know what you're asking, Alfred. We got to try it again. I don't know what your question is. I'm trying to go back to see your question. Let's see. Less is more. If you're asking me, what do I think yourself? I think less is more. The more birds you have, it gets a bit harder. You can put a little bit. It gives you more bullets in the gun, but if you don't know how to charge the gun, fire the gun, point the gun, you can have all the bullets in the world. But if you don't know how to aim that gun, breathe right, pull the trigger the right way, sight it in right, you can have all the bullets you want. You won't hit nothing. Now, a guy that knows how to shoot, take a look at that guy from the Olympics. He came at the Olympics. There's some guy, I don't know what country he was from, Egypt or somewhere. He just come with a single shot, boom. No glass, no earmuffs, nothing. Just hold the trigger and boom, boom, boom. No special outfit, just a natural shooter. You give him 1,000 bullets, you've done the same thing with all of them. Anyways, Alan says, when you had more birds in your OLR, did you have more losses? Well, yeah, you're gonna have more losses. The more the more pigeons you have, the more the group gets, and I hate to say this, a little dumber, a little lazier, uh, and you get a lot more problem pigeons. And you can't just go out there and play God and say, you look good, you all sit on the roof and you don't want to fly in the ground. You can't do that because one's Jimmy's and one's Tony's and one's Bobby Joe's, and you don't want to do that, do you? So you know what you do? You kiss ass and say, okay, we're going to try and flag them. We're going to try and do this. We're going to try and do that. And you want to know what ends up happening? You slow the whole group down. When what should be done is what? elimination. But you can't because it's a one loft race. But yes, I think yeah. I think you get way more losses. Every big one loft race, people, you know what? People don't even talk about the one loft races. Every message from a one loft race is the birds are doing great. The birds are doing great. The birds are doing great. I'm telling you, every year you get a group of dummies that don't want to fly that create problems. And what do? You got to babysit them, and they bring the group down. Hold on. Belgium has superior racing systems that produces the super pigeons. They're pigeon men,
I,
right?
I yeah, I believe it. They have uh, that's right. They have systems. They have a uh, what do you call it?
They got
Yeah,
a plan. They got a plan. They
they
go up
got a
there. They look
plan.
at the pigeons. They go there and they study and they say, "How do I tweak this bastard so he fires like Van
Okay,
Zoren?"
just hold on a minute. See this can?
Oh,
That's
jeez, yeah.
13 grams. This can 113 grams. That's roughly, what is that now? That's about 2.26 pounds. Would I be right?
I don't know.
I think so. But you multiply it by 2.2. Anyways, that, for example, feeds 10 pigeons in the morning, and that feeds 10 birds at night.
You, you
Now,
know, you
who
know.
who who in the, like, okay, that is getting your pigeons on that dial, that system. Healthy pigeons. Respect. They respect. I mean, how many guys just walk in with a friggin' can like this of feed and they go, whoof, they feed 10 pigeons that in the morning and at nighttime they do it again. Those pigeons are a bunch of lazy clunks when you do it like that. I'm just saying right there. That's one of the systems.
Well,
Do you get
they're
me?
they're better at feeding. They're better at conditioning them up. Uh and the reason for the no training is because they can't train. Because I was with Florian Hendricks again here today. I said, "How do you train?" "Oh, I train my young birds 20 times at the most." And he says, "I take them 40 kilometers. That's 20 miles." So okay. He says 40 kilometers takes me an hour and a half to get one way. One way to get 20 miles. An hour and a half. So if he went to 40 miles, it might take him 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes one way. Do you see
Which
what I'm
is it.
saying? What's
Yes.
40 miles isn't even an hour on the wing. Anyways, let's read
The
it.
birds just laugh at that.
Dave Crozier says sometimes nestmates, one is the flyer and one is the breeder. I know. Most people fly the birds bred from their stock birds. Yes, they do. Uh, influenza, genetic potential says Uh, influenza A is a burning across the U.S. right now. Push vitamin C and zinc on them. Okay. Oh, particularly if there were buying additional breeders every year or two. Okay, Mike, yeah, I get that. Yeah, keep getting new birds, bring them in. I think that's good. I think it's wise, Alfred says, I think it's wise to also breed one round from your racing pigeons. I think so too. I think you always want to breed from your racing pigeons because they're racing. They're in great condition. They're in the mix. I think you'll
Do,
get
do,
as good sometimes from your racers as you will from your stock birds.
do you think it's better to get that round of youngsters near the last race? Let's say if you're going, uh, uh, what, 800 kilometers,
Well, I don't know.
400, 5, 600, 700 kilometers. I think getting the youngsters out of that last, when they're at those last races, your pigeons are in the best condition of ever. Could be, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying for racing, you're going to take them at the beginning of the season, which should be fine. But even a late round, if you're keeping or whatever, I think that's good. Yeah, at the end of the season, the birds should be in great form. Mike Vanderyak says Belgium is renowned for its pigeon racing culture. And it's estimated that there are around 125,000 racing lofts in the country. This is the number that has remained relatively stable for over the years, reflecting the of the sport. Well, I don't think there's 125,000 lofts. I think they said they're down to like 14 or I think they're under 20,000. I don't
But
think there's
what? May,
125,000 now. Mike,
maybe Mike's saying though that a lot of those people aren't maybe registered like
no,
the
he said
14,000.
no. There's 125 that they. I don't know. I agree completely. Okay, Mike, thank you. I don't know what we agreed there on, but we agreed. Give a man fish feed. Wait, what does Dave Curry say? Give a man fish feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish. You feed him for a lifetime. Okay, I like that one. Belgium has 1 in 3 prizes and rewards national pigeons and team performances, unlike the North Americans. Well, I think the North Americans are a little backwards, don't you think, Mike? I mean, the only difference in it's just different. Yeah, they announce prizes. There's more competition. They have nomination races. It's different. They have actual national races. Look at the Southern Ontario. They canceled the Old Bird National because nobody wanted to participate in it. I mean,
I
isn't
can't
that
believe.
garbage?
Yeah. Well, what about the national there last year? There was 1,500 people flying, and they canceled it this year because they said there wasn't enough involvement.
Yeah, well, no, there were
But
1,700 birds last year, and they decided to cancel it. How can you cancel something like that? 1,700 birds not enough? I mean, shit, if you had 100 birds, maybe you can cancel it, but you had 1,700 birds. To me,
that's right.
that's ridiculous. Antonio says, "What is your opinion on club races? Do you think that people should be able to fly darken system? If not, everyone can fly. You should be able to darken your pigeons. You should be able to lighten your pigeons. You should be able to fly them on nests. You can be able to fly them on natural. Why are you not allowed to darken them? What dummy made that up? You know?" And I
Well,
say that, what a dummy. Go ahead.
let me ask you something. In Belgium, there, do they have clocking limits as well? Where you
No,
go to, huh?
no, there's no
They
clocking
don't.
limit.
But they have. They're starting that here now. You're only allowed 5 birds
And that's
in
because
this. You
there's losers. There's people that can't get on the sheet and they want to give losers, so the losers don't feel bad. Instead of getting the loser to try harder, they help the loser out and say it's going to be okay. You know what? It's the same thing when you're kids. There's a kid that wins, there's a kid that loses, and all the kids that lose, you get the participation. That's the worst thing you can give a kid. Thanks for participating. Here's a ribbon. Basically, you teach him at that age, you don't have to try hard to get a ribbon. You want a ribbon, you're going to have to work to get it. It's like anything in life. If you don't work for it, you don't get it. And these pigeon men that put these stupid clocking limits in, right? They're losers. They're losers. And that's going to be very sensitive. I'm very sorry. Same thing in one loft races. We're going to do equal first. So all the people come back. I was equal first at the Hoosier. 72 birds came on the drop and I was 71st and I won $5,000. I could have won. No. First is first. There's no such thing as equals. In the Olympics, is there equals in track and field? Is there equals in hockey? No. There's winners and there's losers.
Horse
Anyways,
racing is the same thing. Dog racing, same thing. Sprint racers running the track. The guy who gets ahead of the other guy, he's the guy that wins the race, right?
but only in
Wait.
pigeons. Only in pigeons. It's equal first, clocking limits. Blah blah. You can only have one loft on your property. Blah 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 blah. All the losers do is they pipe up and say we have to do this to keep the sport for people to be happy. I don't know. Alan says most clubs have a dominant flyer or two. Many more clubs in Europe, so many more top guys. Mike is correct. They do have superior systems. You guys all got you guys all got the videos. You guys all get the channels. You guys can watch and talk and look. Y'all can use the systems. Y'all can make your own systems. First thing is they go for real good pigeons. Then they learn how to feed them, they learn how to fly them, and they learn how to select hard. Basics. Basics. But you know what? You go buy a pigeon for 5,000 and it doesn't produce you nothing, and you hang on to it because that's what we do. We hang on to them for far longer than we have to. I'm not saying, and people sometimes I think these people here are more ruthless. That's is why I never hear people here complain about stupid things. Peas, the corn's too big. They don't like this, they don't like that. I never hear it in any of my interviews. Because why? I paid for good feed, they eat good feed, they eat all the good feed. Small little thing like that. Let me read the next comment. I think a problem is most people over medicate their bird's natural immunity. Yeah, that's right. They have no natural immunity. The more drugs you pump in, the worse you feel. Hey, do yourself a favor. Pump yourself full of drugs and see how you feel. Or have too many drinks. How do you feel the next day? Your body's fighting off what you put into it. I don't think you want to pump pigeons full of drugs. I think you want to have them clean. You don't over medicate, but you try and use a lot of natural stuff if you can. Because when you do hit them with drugs, the drugs got to work. If you using drugs, eventually drugs don't work, but you're killing the guts of the pigeon. You're killing the insides of the pigeon, and the pigeon has no resistance. JD Teal says, Dad says his old bird team raised better young birds than his breeders did. Yeah, his race team bred better, I think. Bing says 125,000 lofts in Belgium on me. Well, I don't know if it's 125,000 lofts today, Mike. Maybe there is 125,000 lofts. I don't know. I don't think there's that many, but maybe there is. Mike says the Belgian racing systems is the best. Okay. Dominic Zarlinga says, why not use pumpers to raise youngsters from your race birds? That way you don't stress your flyers. Yeah, that's true. You can do that. But sometimes I think for the race birds, it's good that they have around the youngsters. I think it grounds them to their box, it grounds them to the loft. It adds another level of pulling. Some guys allow them to raise one, some allow them to raise two, some allow them to just go on eggs. A lot of different people ideas, but you can do that as well.
I think people put their pairs together on their race team. They put them together way put race team pairing together till about probably, let's say, 4 days before the first race.
Mhm.
Now I bet you there's people out there that got young ones right now off their race team, and they'll have a second round by by the end of February or first week in March. Then the molt starts. They start drawing their race team down. Would you agree?
Yeah, you want to make sure you're breeding at them at the right time. I think, and I think breeding at them at the right time. I think if you let them go, if you let your race birds go down on 2 or 3 rounds, they're going to be cooked for racing. But anyways, hold on. Van Zorn says 14,000 Netherlands, 12,000 which 70% still basket pigeons. The rest are just members there. So there's 14,000 in the Netherlands. What does Bing say on
Wow.
the Netherlands, Mike?
I think Belgium has the same.
Mike says, I got 3 second prize ribbons in the show this winter. Well, there you go, Mike.
Good for you.
I don't know. I don't waste my time at a show. I'm not getting into a show. A show is like, it's like, you know what? It's like take your kids to a beauty pageant. It's just a bunch of ass kissers. But hey, that's if that's what floats your boat to have someone say that pigeon's absolutely beautiful. I don't need a loser. I don't need somebody that knows dick about pigeons telling me what they like and don't like. I just don't need it. And I think most of the people that judge at pigeon shows, I don't think they know what they're doing. What are they looking at? Tell me, really,
You
what are you
know,
looking at?
the old saying, I believe half of them don't know their butt from a hole in the ground.
Yeah. Nelson Pigeon says it's called participation trophies. It's ridiculous. Thank you. Thank you. It is. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It
I
is.
told you before, I don't believe in taking pigeons out of a -10, -20 degree temperature, bringing them into a hall where it gets up to 85 degrees, overcrowded with people. You can't breathe in there. And you're bringing your birds in there, and then you take them out and throw them back into the -30 degree temperature. Like, you really think that's right? That's like bringing me into uh, 85 degree temperature with a snowmobile suit on, long underwear on, and a thing on my head, and I'm gonna cook to death and suffocate and then throw me back outside. I say, if you want to go to a show, why don't you meet everybody at the strip club? It's the same. Go to a strip club and
All right.
have a few beers and talk
Let's move.
pigeons.
Let's move along. Van
Well,
Zorn says.
they don't have strip clubs anymore.
Van Zorn says will not say the best, but more possibilities to basket on different flights. Sometimes 3 in a weekend. The Netherlands, that's not possible. That's the difference. A national flight in Belgium, just like a provincial flight in the Netherlands. Belgium nationals can sometimes be 1,500 pigeons. In the Netherlands, it's 40,000. That is the verses. Okay, that could be true. Shorter distance for sure. Okay. I'm loving it, Ryan. First is first. That's right. First is first. And when there's equal drops, there's still a winner. And I think we're getting so used to this equal. Everything's equal, 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 equal. I seen somebody say they had the best sprint pigeon in some race series. The pigeon didn't win not one sprint race. He's okay. He had the best average, but he didn't really a couple races for sprints. I don't know. Like it wasn't. I don't know. You know what? I just think people are getting very pretend. Is it?
Let-
You know what?
Let's
Maybe
look
I'm
at
wrong. I don't know.
let's look at
National
it
wait.
this way.
Alan says,
Let's
hold on, Ricky. National race points was not good for everyone. Get out from behind the Great Lakes, go straight north and a bit east. You'll get fair national races for participation. All right, good. Health is number one, says
Okay,
Crozier.
listen to me. If I take my pigeons out training and I'm taking them 20 miles training and I got my benzene clock on and it can clock a lot of pigeons, in one shot, but it does it by the point of a minute, a second, half a second. And they're all arrived and they all come in, they all hit the board, and there's always this one pigeon that gets in that hole first. He's always the first one through that trap. Always the first one through that trap. Who wins the training toss?
A pigeon.
They all drop on the board at the same time.
Well, yeah. If,
It's
if
that
you
it,
if you right, I agree with you. But again, sometimes the races get further and whatever. But you look. I don't know. Mike Vaniak says,
what I'm saying is you're sitting at home, you're training your youngsters, and you go, every toss I take them, that pigeon number 506. 506 is always the first in that trap. Every time I take them, 506, 506, 506.
right.
Who's the pigeon you want to really keep? That's the first pigeon through that trap. If he does it every
but the
single time,
problem is Dart from Rick Fife. Great pigeon up to 40 miles. Couldn't race with a shit once you took him out to the distance. But he was a trapper. He'd have been great at 40 miles, 25 miles. Great. Consistent. Take him out? Nope. You don't have it once you go 100 miles. Just you know what? You just don't have it for that. But you
well,
study
that's
the whole thing. Okay.
the same as you don't even have to take them for a training toss. Hey, you got your birds loft flying, and soon they're ready to come down. You give the old whistle a shake the can. Who's always in that trap? The first one. 506. Holy jumping. I didn't even
Okay,
take them training. He
right.
just banged.
All right. Well, that's good. But I like to see how they do, and you really take them out there. But okay, I sure.
Well,
Of
I'm
course.
just giving you an example of who comes through the trap. That's what I'm saying. And what happens when
Oh,
you get a
yeah, yeah,
pigeon
yeah.
that's always sitting on the wire? If he's sitting on the wire, who the hell's that on that wire? Who is it? Yeah, okay. Well, come on in. You're now sitting in the flower
Oh,
garden.
all right. According to Bing, Holland is also a major hub for pigeon racing. Apparently, 90,000 race pigeon lofts. The sport is strong following. Okay. Well, Mike, there you go. Alfred just corrected you. Bing's wrong. There's not 90,000 lofts. There's 14,000. I can't believe Bing's wrong. See, Mike? Not everything on the internet's correct. Jerry says, hi, in Europe they are flying A, B, C, D, E, G. In North America, one pigeon flies all races.
That's right. We don't
Wait,
have a variety here.
Yeah, Mike, Dart flew every race. I think Dart did fly every race. That's very good. But Dart, where did Dart shine, Mike? He shined in the short race, the short training races. He was not Dart. He was not Dart, the same Dart. He was not. He wasn't the ace pigeon. He didn't win any of the 8 races. But you take him on 5 miles, you take him on 10 miles, you take him on 25 miles. Dart couldn't be beat. How much money did Dart win in those little short trainers? But once he had to get on the wing for hours, he wasn't Dart. He was just a mealy. That's all he was. With a name, that was it. Poor Dart, says Dave Crozier. Poor Dart. Milton says, good evening. Better late than never. Yeah, it is better late than never. Same thing we had Jim McGinnis. He had those 2 super pigeons. They were great up to 25 miles. Could have, I think they won Mike Sheridan's friend a lot of money. But you have those pigeons. They're good at something, and then you take them further, and they don't fall apart. They wobble. They're not the same.
It's
Dart
the old
dominated
saying, once they
sprints.
get once they get 2 hours or 2.5 hours, if they hit that, a lot of them just fall right off. They can't make that time.
Yeah, I think you notice it with pigeons. 2 hours you notice, 4 hours you notice, 6 hours you notice, and then after 6 hours, then you really start to see. But it almost
Nine,
like it
10 hours.
happens. It almost starts to happen in the 2 hour increments. Like I noticed from 100, let's say to 150, you don't notice a difference. But you take them out to 200 or 225 and you see a difference. Then you get them out to 300, you see a difference. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's why you got to push him out. And I think somebody said before, well, I don't know why you're making it tougher on these pigeons. Well, then what do what are you going to do? Just leave them home? Just
Well,
leave them home.
if you want it easy, just send the birds to a one loft race. It's easy. Most of them don't do very much. Most of them fly a tailwind course, and most of them bullshit it anyways.
That's right.
That's why one loft racing is so great. Everyone, it's so great. I'm flying against all this competition. Oh yeah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. I'm yet to see one loft races that really make it like pigeon racing because it's a pyramid scam. It's a scheme. It's a trick. Anyways, I'm not going down that. Dart was not a mealy. He was a Himalayan indigo. Mike, Mike, do me a favor. Don't worry about what Dart was. Dart was a mealy. In my eyes, he was a mealy. I'm not calling him an indigo. He was a mealy. Uh, when he got further from the dart board, he wasn't as good. Oh, that's a good one, Alan. Alan made it funny. Good job, Alan. Uh, are you familiar with the bull system? If so, please explain what the best way to do it is. Do you want me to tell you the best way to do the bull system? Have the cock paired up to each of the hens before breeding. Let him be with each of the hens for about a week so you know he's paired to each hen. And then what you do, real simple, less bullshit, give him his first hen. 5 days in, put a pair of droppers or a pair of pumpers together. The cock will go down with the hen, take the eggs away, pull the hen out, give him a couple days, day off, 2 days off, throw the next hen in that he's paired to. After a few days, put another pair of pumpers together. That's the easiest way. You start putting them in boxes and letting them out and letting them in. You're running around like an idiot. And you know what? If you don't have the patience, it don't work. Every 10 days, you can get a pair of eggs. So basically, every 14 to 15 days, you can get a pair of eggs. I think that's the best way to bull them. And again, please make sure that the cock is paired to the hens before you start. So if you're going to pair up the number 3 cock, fan numbers number 3, you think, well, I'm going to put him to 7 hens. Pair him up in the off season to the 7 hens. So you know he's paired. So you know he likes them. You know they like him. He likes them. You know it's going to work. Or you're going to notice sometimes they don't like each other.
Yep.
Uh,
Soon you put those hens in with him. If he was already married to them, they go right together just like that.
yeah. Antonio says not not saying to make it easier, but can't make it impossible. Missing. Well, yeah, but what's it? I mean, I don't know. Impossible. I don't think. I don't think. What's impossible? I mean, letting them out in torrential thunderstorms, you're probably making that impossible. Letting them out with 50 miles of clear sky and maybe some rain and drizzle on the way, that's hard. There's a challenge there, but that's not impossible. 20-mile-an-hour headwinds. It's not impossible. 50-mile-an-hour tailwinds. That's not impossible, but that can be tricky too. I mean, what's impossible, right? I don't know. Let's see. Gavin says, "Don't lose the harmony of the loft." Good comment. Don't lose the harmony. Keep the loft flowing good. In good harmony. What else is there, Ricky? I know you wanted to show some birds or something, and we've been on for an hour and 16. So if you do want to show something, I'm going to give you that chance now.
Okie doke. I'm going to show you a young one that was raised this winter
Mm-hmm.
by a bird called the seagull. He's an '09 cock. Left him with his hen all winter, and he raised one single young one this winter,
Mm-hmm.
which is remarkable. Last year, I got a couple rounds out of him. I just left him with his hen, and after this young one, they stopped. They're together and they stopped. They're going to wait till I guess we get some nice spring weather coming.
Yeah, while you grab this pigeon, I'm going to post up what we got going on at Feathers Elite. So go grab it. I'm going to post up the photos here. So
Okay.
guys, running right now at Feathers Elite. I'm going to hopefully be on tomorrow night with Lars to look at the match pair from Stabell and Son. This is the super match couple. Yes, guys, I have very good feeling on this pair. These guys, 35 years at the top of the game in the Netherlands, top loft in the Netherlands. Very good guys, humble, easy, and you know what? They always pick fantastic pigeons. And the results in North America from these pigeons, just ask Ian Sybil. Even though he didn't submit his results, which is fine, he had great results with those pigeons. And one of my favorites, Lambrecht's pigeons. Yes, this is a super match couple from a super sprint loft in Belgium. I'm almost guaranteeing this pair. I got a real damn good feeling. Mike, this pair is for you. Try them out. And just opened at Feathers Elite Pigeon Auctions. The one and only Leander and Gert Munich. We've got Johnny Boy. Here's Johnny. This auction just opened. It will close on Sunday. So take your time, go out there and look. All these birds will be very reasonably priced, and you get super quality. And all bids are in Canadian dollars. Let me put the camera to me. I'm feeling as sick as a dog. I don't know why, but I am. Mike Vandriak says producing 2 young birds off a cock every 15 days will produce a bunch of birds out of sync with no rounds of loft mates to join with. I don't know, Mike. You asked about a bull system to make it easier for somebody. If you want to learn another bull system, go ahead. You know, Mike, I agree with you. Every 15 days, it's a little bit different. Yeah, that's right. You're going to have all a little bit of different ages, but hey, you want them out of one cock, that's what you're going to do, I guess. Hold on. Let's see
So
here.
here's the youngster. This is the youngster. I don't know if I'm showing it well enough.
Yeah, there you go. He looks real good. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at the back on this. This is out of a 16-year-old cock and a 2-year-old hen. Look at
It,
that. Look at the
isn't that
bounce on
nice, eh?
this.
Hold him
Oh,
up. Yeah.
it's a beautiful.
What a nice pigeon that is, eh?
Oh, it's really, and like you say, you could find water with this thing. Look at
Yeah.
the back on it.
Yeah. Almost too tight. But you know what? He looks very strong and muscular. I bet you he's got super feather
Yeah, that's
already.
super feather. You see the molt here because it's darkened, eh?
Yeah.
Out of a
Nice.
16-year-old cockbird. You got a
Beautiful.
good look at it there?
Yeah. Just move him over a little bit towards the microwave. There you go. There you guys go, eh? There, he's right perfect in the middle now, guys. You see? That's the quality. That's what you're looking for. 16-year-old cock. What a nice pigeon. Good. I like him, Ricky.
Yep, I believe it's going to be a hen for sure. And look at the white, the nice few white flights there in the wing.
How much do you want for that bird, Ricky? Alan's asking.
How much do I want for it?
Yeah.
$700. $700.
Oh, jumping. That's a steal. I was thinking
And
more, but hey.
this thing here, this pigeon here is still squeaking.
Yeah, look how it's built. You can see it's built properly like a machine.
Yeah.
Father produced some super
I
pigeons, and
mean,
hey, there you go.
I could bring the old man. I could bring the old man in if you want to give me a minute.
No, not tonight. Good looking bird, Ricky. Chris Marshman says that's a
Yeah,
beauty. Yes,
very
it is.
nice. And this young one here, it's wintertime feeding in there. Only fed once a day in the morning. Drop the feed in and water at one time in the morning, and that's it. Walked away. That's it.
Well, Mike, you've had great luck with the bandits. Maybe you should try the Lambrex pigeons. I don't think you'll be disappointed. There he is. Look at the nice mealy, Ricky. You did good. And did you want to show something else, Ricky?
Yeah, I want to show. I got a pair of rollers, which were raised for me by Dominic Zarlinga, and they're opals, special color. I was talking to Warner Vale, telling him about them, and I just wanted to show them on the show tonight
All right, go and
because
grab
I
them.
always like rollers as well. What a pigeon! Well, it's still squeaking.
Yeah, he looks good, that one. Uh, what color is the mother? I think the mother's a mealy pied as well. Yeah, that's an old Van Dean
Oh, the
pallet.
mother was a two. I put him to a 2-year-old blue hen
Oh,
with
it's not.
she had white flight.
It's not the '07 hen, the
Huh?
hen number 7 or the number 1 hen.
No, I took them. I separated them. She wasn't feeling too good, so that I took her away.
Oh, well, that's good. I know he was stuck with her for quite a while, and they normally bred real nice ones. But it is what it is. Yep, that is a Van Reet. Beautiful pigeon. Yeah, looks good. Chris Marshman says sold. uh, let's see as Ricky brings it up. Let me get the camera back over to me. Let's just do this, and let's do this, and let's do this. So yeah, guys, if you're looking for real sprint pigeons, these Lambrecht pigeons, they're that and more. Um, Reminder: all bids are in Canadian dollars. So first time coming to Feathers Elite. We've got coming up Peter Vandermeer. We've got Florian Hendricks up. We've got DeWeer. We got more and more coming. The best of the best. I can't wait for you guys to see Peter Vandermeer and for you to see Florian Hendricks. Pigeons from Florian Hendricks, 10 out of 10. Here's the one and only Ricky 7.
So here's
All
a
right.
roller I got a pair from Dominic. I
Oh,
don't know
look
if
at
you can
that.
see them there. I like the color of them. And these are I couldn't say what color they were, but Dominic says they're opals.
All right. Turn it so we can see the wing when you open it. So you can show there, and they can see the
You
color.
see?
Yeah, I don't know anything about color. To me, I call out a yellow, a checker or something, like a dun checker or something. But
Yeah, they
nice
call it an
color, eh?
opal, and it's gonna get darker as it gets older, I believe. As you can see here, it's molten on the shoulders.
Yeah.
They're very young.
Yeah, I like it.
You
Hen,
see
eh?
it? I think it's going to be a hen.
Yeah, it looks like a hen.
Beautiful.
Very nice of Dominic to breed that for you. You know, that's what makes pigeons always a bit of fun, you know?
This makes it fun, you know. Look,
Wow.
that's what I'm saying. You know, when you're a pigeon person, you always still have that child in you,
Yeah.
and that's what I got. The child in me. I like these things.
Well,
Let's
that's
see how they
all.
do. And if Dave Crozier, he loves them too. I don't know if Dave's got any like this. And Dominic said they really roll.
Well, there you go.
I get another one. I got another one.
All right. One more. We're going to see one more, guys. Again, as I say, to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for all your support. And hey, so it makes the show good. We had a good conversation tonight. A lot of interesting points. I mean, did we learn something? I think so. I think we learn something every time out here. Here he comes, Ricky7. Hopefully tomorrow I will be on. Tomorrow evening I'll be on with Lars Losberg. We're going to go through the matched pairs, and we'll probably look at the Munichs as well.
Okay.
We'll probably do a triple header tomorrow night. Here's the other one. Oh, that's a real nice one. That's nicer than the first one.
Isn't that a nice cutie?
Yeah, she's real nice.
Man, she's beautiful and very sharp, looking around.
Yeah, nice.
Very nice. Let's see here. Well, let's see how they fly. Dominic says they fly like the wind. They roll like crazy. I've been over to his place and they'll roll right in the loft.
Looks like Plugger.
This is going to be. It's going to be like a hen, I think.
Yeah. No, Chris, we're not asking Ricky if he has any crack tumblers. Not this week. Not this week on the show.
So that's it.
That's all she had. Okay, so big week coming in the auctions. Follow us along. I'm feeling as sick as a dog. I feel like I actually feel like I might be sick. I don't know why. I'm just not feeling good. But again, we want to keep consistency because you guys consistently come on every week and support the show with some great questions. Again, please like, share, and subscribe.